Have you ever walked into a place that used to bring you joy, only to leave feeling tired, off, or strangely unsettled? What if the places that once gave you comfort are now quietly stealing your energy, your clarity, even your dignity? As we age, knowing where not to go becomes just as important as knowing where to be. Have you ever felt drained after visiting a place that once lifted your spirits? Somewhere that used to feel like home, but now leaves you with a heavy body, a foggy mind, or a quiet sadness you can't quite name? The truth is, as we get older, the spaces we move through, physically and emotionally, begin to affect us differently. Some places that once gave us joy or connection may start to take more than they give. What makes this so difficult is that most people don't recognize the shift until it's already done damage, chipping away at their energy, their health, or their peace of mind. And it doesn't happen all at once. It's slow, subtle, almost invisible. That's exactly why today's video matters. This conversation isn't about isolating yourself or becoming fearful. It's about becoming wiser. It's about protecting your emotional and physical well-being by making intentional choices, especially between the ages of 65 and 80, when your heart, body, and mind begin asking for different kinds of rest, safety, and connection than they did 20 or 30 years ago. Yet many seniors keep returning to the same environments, out of habit, out of guilt, or out of hope. Hope that maybe this time will feel like it used to. But here's the reality. Some places aren't dangerous in obvious ways. They don't announce their harm. Instead, they slowly wear you down. Emotionally, mentally, physically. Until one day, you realize you're more tired, more anxious, or more alone than you were before you arrived. You might already be sensing it. You visit a certain place, and afterward, your legs ache. Your chest feels heavy. Your mood sinks for hours. You ask yourself, am I just getting older? But maybe it's not just age. Maybe it's the place. Because the truth is, there are specific places, some familiar, some unexpected, that quietly drain your energy, chip away at your self-worth, and disturb your peace. And you deserve to know what they are. In today's video, I'll walk you through 6 specific places that you should stop visiting as you get older. Not because you've lost your value, but because you've gained wisdom. Each of these places is based on real experiences, real consequences, and real insight, and understanding them now could protect not just your health, but your confidence, your calm, and your sense of self. That simple shift in awareness could spare you heartache, exhaustion, and years of silent regret. But before we dive in, let me ask you something. Have you ever stopped going somewhere, even though others insisted it was good for you? What made you walk away? Share your story in the comments below. I'd truly love to know. Now, let's begin with the first place. Place number 1. The hospital. When you don't really need to be there. Let me be crystal clear. This is not about ignoring real medical needs. If you have chest pain, sudden vision loss, dizziness, or any serious symptom, go. Seek help. This is not about taking chances with your health, but what we're talking about here is something more subtle and more common than people admit. It's the habit of going to the hospital out of fear, loneliness, or uncertainty. Especially among people in their late 60s to 80s, there's often a deeply rooted belief that if something feels off, even slightly, you head to the ER, just in case. While that instinct may have once been protective, it can backfire with age. Hospitals are not neutral spaces. They're filled with loud machines, hurried staff, long wait times, and fluorescent lighting. The energy is often heavy, filled with tension and fear. Spending too much time in that environment, especially when it isn't necessary, can actually wear down your nervous system and leave you feeling worse, not better. Let me tell you about Henry. He was 78, lived alone after losing his wife, and started going to the hospital whenever he felt tired, achy, or just emotionally low. It started as occasional visits, but soon became a weekly routine. The doctors, seeing him often, stopped taking his concerns seriously. They rushed exams, ran expensive tests just to be safe, and prescribed medications that eventually started clashing with one another. Ironically, he ended up hospitalized, not for an illness, but for complications from all those unnecessary medications. And here's the deeper problem: the psychological toll. The more time you spend in hospitals, the more your mind starts to see yourself as sick, even when you're not. That subtle identity shift can do damage. You begin to view yourself as fragile, helpless, or broken. And when the mind believes that, the body often follows. This isn't just about physical health, it's about your emotional resilience. As we age, it's natural to become more cautious, but every strange sensation doesn't always mean danger. Sometimes it's just part of aging, and sometimes the comfort we really need isn't found in a waiting room. It's found in connection, self-trust, or simply slowing down. Let's keep going and explore the next place that may be quietly draining you, without you even knowing it. Indigestion doesn't feel like indigestion anymore. It feels like it might be something more serious, like a heart attack. And in that moment of fear, the hospital becomes more than just a place for treatment. It becomes a coping mechanism, a quick fix to ease rising anxiety. But that kind of short-term comfort often comes with a long-term cost, physically, emotionally, and even financially. The truth is, there are far better, safer, and more sustainable ways to care for your health. Regular check-ins with a trusted primary care physician can help you catch real issues early, without panic. Home health tools like blood pressure monitors, glucose meters, or even a simple journal of your symptoms can give you a clearer picture of what's truly going on. And sometimes, all it takes is a conversation. A talk with your pharmacist, a counselor, or even a trusted friend can bring reassurance, clarity, and perspective. You are not your age. You are not your fears. You are a person who deserves calm, confidence, and the power to tell the difference between concern and crisis. That's what keeps you not only safe, but mentally strong. Now let's move to the second place you might want to think twice about visiting too often. Place number 2, the crowded supermarket on weekend afternoons. It sounds innocent enough, right? Just a quick grocery run. But for many people over 65, the supermarket, especially on Saturdays and Sundays, has quietly become one of the most overwhelming and physically risky places to be. Why? Because your body simply doesn't recover the way it used to. Balance, reflexes, vision, all of it becomes more sensitive with age. A bustling supermarket packed with people becomes a sensory overload. Carts speeding past your feet, toddlers darting between aisles, loud announcements over the intercom, and harsh overhead lighting that never seems to dim. What used to be a simple errand now feels like navigating a maze of distractions and hazards. I remember Judy, age 74. Grocery shopping used to be her favorite weekly ritual. It gave her a sense of independence and control. But after getting clipped by a heavy cart and slipping on a slick spot in the produce section, she started to rethink it. Thankfully, she wasn't seriously injured, but it scared her. She realized that one bad fall could set her back for months, or worse, threaten her ability to live independently. And it's not just about physical risk, it's the stress. Long lines, rearranged shelves, hard-to-read signs, and the sheer energy it takes to carry bags and navigate the crowd. For many seniors, by the time they get home, they're not proud of their productivity. They're utterly drained. What should have been a 45-minute task turns into a full-day recovery. Especially for those dealing with high blood pressure, arthritis, or joint pain, these small stresses add up quickly. And sometimes the body sends signals loud and clear, but we brush them off, thinking we're just being slow or tired. So the next time you think about heading out to the store on a busy weekend afternoon, ask yourself, is this something I need to do today? Or is there a better, calmer way to meet this need? Let's keep going. The next place on this list might surprise you even more. And now, let's look at another hidden toll many seniors don't see coming: the impact on your immune system. Crowded supermarkets are not just physically demanding, they're hotspots for germs. A single sneeze near the apples, a quiet cough from the person behind you in line. That's all it takes. As we age, our immune response slows down, and what might be a minor cold for someone else can turn into a full-blown illness for you. But it's not only the germs you need to watch out for. There's a less obvious threat that builds up over time. Mental overload. The harsh lighting, the endless shelves, the chaos of people moving in all directions. It creates what experts call cognitive fatigue. When your brain is constantly scanning, adjusting, reacting, it wears down faster than you realize. And what suffers? Your mental clarity, your memory, and sometimes even your mood. There's also an emotional cost that creeps in silently. Grocery stores once made you feel strong, useful, in charge. You had a plan, a list, and you made it happen. But now, squinting at tiny print on labels, reaching for items high on shelves, and dodging carts as if you're invisible, it chips away at that feeling of control. Suddenly, the world feels like it's moving too fast, too loud, too indifferent. That slow erosion of confidence doesn't come with sirens or warning signs. It just builds, quietly, until one day you realize you feel less seen, less sure, less strong. But here's the thing, it doesn't have to be that way. There are smarter, safer, and frankly more joyful alternatives. Shopping on weekday mornings, for instance. Stores are calmer, staff are more available, and the entire environment is gentler. You can browse without pressure, ask questions, move at your own pace. And then there's online grocery ordering, not because you can't go out, but because you've earned the right to preserve your energy for things that truly matter. Think about what you could trade that energy for. A relaxing walk in the sun, a quiet moment with a good book, a chat with someone you love. Isn't that a better return than pushing a cart through noise and stress? You don't need to prove your independence through heavy bags or fast checkout lines. That's not where your value lies. If you've been forcing yourself into these overwhelming environments just to feel normal, maybe this is the moment to stop and ask, for whom are you doing it? You've earned the right to choose peace over pressure, clarity over chaos, and self-care over silent struggle. If you're still here and finding value in these insights, please comment number 2 below to let me know you're with me. And if you haven't yet subscribed, I recommend you hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell so you don't miss out on more helpful videos like this. Your support helps us keep creating thoughtful content to inform and inspire. Now, let's move forward. The third place might surprise you. It's one many people assume is healthy, but not always. Let's take a moment to look at another place that, at first glance, seems completely wholesome, even peaceful, your favorite public park, or that scenic trail you've visited for years. These spots were likely once your sanctuary, where you went for a refreshing walk, to meet friends, or to simply breathe in the fresh air. But as you pass 65, and especially as you approach 80, these familiar paths start to carry hidden risks. And the worst part? Most people don't talk about them until something goes wrong. Here's the reality. Aging legs and joints don't bounce back the way they once did. Descending stairs, for example, places significantly more pressure on your knees than climbing them. And climbing? That can raise your heart rate and blood pressure faster than you expect, especially in warmer weather. Even a short incline can feel like a mountain when your body isn't prepared. Many of these parks and trails were designed decades ago, long before accessibility was truly considered. That means cracked concrete, sudden dips, exposed tree roots, and narrow steps that become easy to miss when your attention or vision is just a little slower than it used to be. What adds to the danger is something very human: overconfidence. You may think, I've walked this trail hundreds of times. I know it like the back of my hand. But bodies change, reflexes slow, and your margin for error gets smaller. That same path that used to clear your mind can, without warning, become a trap, disguised in nostalgia. Take Alan, 78, for example. He had a weekend ritual of hiking up a wooded hill trail. It made him feel strong, independent. But one day, his foot snagged on a raised root embedded in the ground. He fell hard. 2 fractured ribs, a bruised hip, and just like that, he could no longer walk without a cane. The trail hadn't changed. His body had. And it's not just about physical injury. There's also the risk of isolation. What if you fall and no one's around? What if your phone slips out of your pocket when you need it most? What if you wander just a little off your usual route and suddenly nothing looks familiar? As we age, even mild cognitive fluctuations can make us more vulnerable to disorientation. A walk meant to last 15 minutes can stretch into confusion and anxiety. There's also the subtle pressure of the environment itself. These trails can tempt you to keep going, just a little further, a little faster, as if you have to prove something. Maybe you see a hill and think, I used to handle that no problem, and so you push, ignoring that quiet voice inside saying it's time to stop. That push, driven by pride or the desire to stay youthful, can backfire. It can lead to injuries that don't just affect your body. They bruise your confidence, stir up frustration, and leave behind guilt you didn't expect. So before heading out on that familiar trail, ask yourself, am I walking toward peace or pushing through danger in disguise? It's okay to choose safer paths. Your strength isn't measured by how steep a hill you climb. It's measured by how wisely you care for the body that's carried you this far. Let's continue with the next place that might look comforting, but could be quietly costing you more than you realize. That lingering sense of feeling less than can stay with you long after you've stepped off that trail, sometimes for days or even weeks. And there's another cost we often overlook, the physical one. Every step on cracked pavement or uneven ground sends tiny shocks through your ankles, knees, hips, and lower back. If you're already dealing with arthritis, past surgeries, or joint stiffness, those shocks don't just vanish overnight. They build. What begins as mild soreness today can become stiffness tomorrow and avoidance the next day. You start walking less, doing less, all because of one bad day in a place you once loved. But does that mean you should stay indoors and stop enjoying the outdoors altogether? Absolutely not. Nature still offers some of the most healing moments in life. Sunlight on your face, fresh air in your lungs, the calming rustle of leaves. It's medicine for the spirit. But like all good medicine, it needs the right dose and the right delivery. What this really means is choosing better paths, both literally and figuratively. Seek out level walking trails that are designed for accessibility. Visit indoor botanical gardens, local community centers, or parks with smooth sidewalks, railings, and benches along the way. These aren't signs of giving up. They're signs of wisdom. You're not avoiding movement. You're adapting it to meet your reality, not the version of yourself from decades ago. There's strength in saying, that used to serve me, but now I choose something better, something that supports who I am today. Change isn't defeat, it's an act of self-respect. And truthfully, the parks and hills will still be there. But your joints, your stability, your sense of freedom, those are worth protecting every single day. Now let's talk about another kind of environment that, while it seems joyful on the surface, can drain you in a different and much quieter way. The high-energy family gathering. Sometimes the most exhausting place isn't far away. It's right there, in the center of your family's living room. You know the scene well. Everyone's talking at once, kids running between the furniture, music playing in the background, stories being shared, jokes flying by too quickly to catch. What used to feel like warmth and celebration now hits differently. It can feel like noise, pressure, even confusion. You smile politely, nod when you're supposed to, try to follow conversations you can't quite hear or process. But inside, your mind is racing to keep up, and afterward, you're left completely drained, mentally foggy and physically sore, like you've just run a marathon without ever leaving the couch. And here's the truth few people say out loud. Many older adults keep showing up to every gathering out of guilt. That small voice whispers, "What if this is my last Thanksgiving with everyone?" Or, "I don't want to let them down." And so, despite the fatigue, you go. You push through. But is it always the best choice for your well-being? Let's take a closer look. That lingering sense of obligation, "It's Thanksgiving, I should go," can feel almost impossible to shake. And sometimes, there's a deeper fear hiding beneath it. If I don't show up, will they think I'm ungrateful? Or worse, selfish? Almost odd city. But that quiet self-sacrifice, repeated over and over again, begins to wear down your emotional reserves. You give a little piece of yourself each time, and eventually, resentment begins to grow. Quietly, steadily. It doesn't explode, but it chips away at your peace. There's another layer, often unspoken, the loneliness of being surrounded by family and still feeling invisible. You sit at the table, and suddenly the conversations move to topics that leave you behind: tech trends, fast-moving careers, rapid-fire jokes that you miss by the time you process the setup. You smile, you nod, you follow what you can, but inside, it starts to feel like you're just a guest in your own family's story. You're there in body, but not always in spirit. And that, being lonely in a crowded room, is one of the most quietly painful experiences older adults endure. And we haven't even touched on the physical toll. Just getting ready for these gatherings, the long hours in the kitchen, the drive across town, the effort to dress up and stay awake well into the evening can exhaust you for days. Your legs might swell, your back tightens, your sleep gets thrown off. And when it's over, everyone else moves on with their routines while you're left recovering in silence, wondering why it took so much out of you. Then comes the internal judgment. You ask yourself, why can't I handle this like I used to? Or worse, am I becoming a burden? But let's be honest, your body isn't failing you, it's evolving. It's asking you for something different: a slower rhythm, more peaceful environments, fewer people, and deeper conversations. It's not about needing less love, it's about needing a better fit for where you are in life now. So, if you find yourself coming home from these family events more drained than fulfilled, more anxious than uplifted, it's okay to pause. It's okay to say, not this time. That's not rejection, it's self-awareness. Maybe it means choosing smaller visits, more one-on-one moments, or even just a meaningful phone call instead of a big dinner. That doesn't mean you love your family any less. It means you're choosing to love yourself with more wisdom. And if your loved ones truly care, they'll understand. And if they don't, then maybe this is their opportunity to grow too. If you're still here and finding these insights helpful, please comment number 4 below to let me know you're watching. And if you haven't already subscribed, I highly encourage you to click that button and turn on the bell. That way, you won't miss the next valuable conversation we share together. Let's move ahead to place 5. The late-night grocery store. There's something undeniably calming about walking into a grocery store after dark. The aisles are quiet, the lines are shorter, and the chaos of daytime shopping seems to melt away under the soft glow of fluorescent lights. On the surface, it feels like a peaceful routine, almost therapeutic. But for adults between 65 and 80, this habit might be quietly chipping away at your safety, your energy, and your independence. Let's begin with what's most obvious: your vision. As we grow older, our eyes don't adjust to darkness the way they used to. Nighttime blurs sharpness. Driving under dim streetlights becomes more stressful. Parking lots seem darker, curbs harder to judge, and even inside the store, shadowy corners and poorly lit aisles can hide hazards you wouldn't notice in daylight. All it takes is one misstep, a wet floor, an unnoticed obstacle, and a simple errand can turn into a serious injury. A bruised hip, a sprained ankle, or worse. These aren't just momentary setbacks. They can lead to extended hospital stays, lengthy rehab, and a sudden cascade of health issues that feel like they came out of nowhere. But beyond the physical danger, there's a deeper, more subtle toll. Late-night shopping often happens when you're already running low on energy, clarity, and sometimes patience. After a full day of movement, conversations, maybe even grandkid visits or household tasks, your mind and body are naturally winding down. Yet many seniors, in an effort to avoid crowds or not inconvenience others, push through and go out at night instead. That noble intention can quietly backfire. Fatigue affects decision-making, slows your reactions, and increases forgetfulness. You might walk in needing 3 items and leave with 10 you didn't plan for, or forget the one essential thing you came to get. And what about the emotional side? Being in a large store alone at night can sometimes feel isolating, not peaceful, but eerie. The silence isn't always soothing, and while most grocery stores are generally safe, it's true that incidents like parking lot scams, theft, or even subtle forms of harassment are statistically more likely during low traffic hours. Seniors, especially when shopping solo, can unfortunately be seen as easy targets. A shaken sense of security in a place that used to feel routine. That's a cost few people consider, but it matters. Financially, there's impact too. When you're tired, it's easier to give in to small indulgences. Overpriced frozen meals, sugary snacks, or duplicates of items already sitting in your pantry. These purchases may seem harmless in the moment, but over time they quietly chip away at your fixed retirement income. That extra $10 here, $15 there, it adds up more quickly than you think, and all because your tired mind wasn't operating at full power. So the next time you feel the urge to go shopping after dark, pause and ask yourself, is this trip worth the risk to my safety, my peace of mind, or my wallet? Sometimes, the most thoughtful choice is the simplest one, rescheduling for a safer, quieter morning instead. So what's the better option? Reclaim your mornings. Shopping earlier in the day, when your body is more rested, your mind is sharper, and staff are more available, can completely change the experience. You'll make wiser decisions, get assistance when you need it, and feel more relaxed while doing something that used to feel like a chore. There's also an emotional benefit. It's a gentler, calmer way to start your day. In fact, you might even turn your grocery run into a social moment. Meet up with a friend or invite a neighbor to tag along. That small change can shift a routine task into a meaningful connection. I once spoke with a 72-year-old woman named Jean. She used to shop every Wednesday night after dinner. It became her personal routine, her version of quiet time. But one night, she slipped in the parking lot. Thankfully, she wasn't badly hurt, but it was enough to prompt her doctor to recommend a change. She switched to morning shopping. A few weeks later, she told me something that stuck with me. I feel like I've taken back my time. It's not just safer, it's brighter. It feels like the day belongs to me again. And she was right. Those little routines after 65 hold real power. Listening to your energy, not the clock, can make everyday life feel more your own. Let's move to place 6, the doctor's office, when there's no clear reason to go. Now this one might surprise you. After all, most people between 65 and 80 have built long-standing, respectful relationships with their primary care doctors, and that's a great thing. Regular checkups and preventive care do matter. But there's a fine line between staying proactive and slipping into something less healthy. Excessive visits out of uncertainty, habit, or quiet fear. Often it starts small. A dull ache here, a strange twinge there, or maybe just an anxious feeling that something might be off. So, you go in, just to be safe. But slowly, without even realizing it, those visits begin to multiply. Once every few months becomes once every few weeks. And not because anything new is happening, but because you're worried something might be. The problem isn't seeking care. It's that this pattern can gradually change the way you see yourself. You stop living actively and start waiting passively for a diagnosis, for a problem, for confirmation that something is wrong. And here's the deeper issue. When we go looking for problems, we usually find them. Modern medicine is extraordinary, but it's also a double-edged sword. Overtesting can lead to false positives. Minor findings can lead to unnecessary prescriptions. A simple concern can spiral into a string of follow-up appointments, referrals, and anxiety. Before long, your calendar is full, not with joyful plans, but with lab visits and consultations. You begin to feel less like a person aging with purpose and more like a patient always in waiting. Before long, your calendar becomes packed with doctor appointments, and your thoughts are crowded with worry. For many older adults, this routine doesn't always come from true medical need. It often stems from something quieter, but just as real. Loneliness or boredom. You see, it's more common than people admit. Some seniors begin using medical visits as a way to break up the monotony of their week, to have someone to talk to, or simply to feel noticed. And while the desire for connection is human and valid, a clinic isn't where your emotional needs should be met. There's another risk that's rarely discussed. When you visit too frequently without clear medical reasons, you might unintentionally get labeled by healthcare staff as a frequent flyer. Over time, that label can affect how seriously your concerns are taken. It's not fair, but it's a reality. And when something truly serious does arise, delayed recognition could have real consequences. So what can you do instead? Start by shifting your approach. Understand the line between smart preventive care and excessive visits. Keep a personal health journal. Track small symptoms, sleep patterns, mood shifts, appetite changes, or levels of activity. Bring that log to a scheduled physical once or twice a year. It gives your doctor a long-term holistic view of your well-being instead of a fragmented puzzle of short, anxious visits. You're not avoiding care. You're just making it more intentional. And if what you're really craving is companionship, look beyond the medical setting. Join a local senior center, sign up for a community activity, reconnect with a long-lost friend, volunteer, or speak with a therapist who understands the emotional complexities of aging. Your emotional wellness matters deeply, but it deserves to be nurtured in ways that don't compromise your physical health or reinforce anxiety. I remember meeting Harold, an 81-year-old gentleman who visited the clinic almost every other week. His daughter noticed he was growing more anxious, not less, and one day she gently asked him, "Why do you keep going?" Harold paused, then said, "I just want to make sure I don't miss anything." Together, they reviewed every test he'd taken that year. Each one was normal. What he truly needed wasn't more testing. It was reassurance, companionship, and trust in his body again. So if you find yourself scheduling frequent visits without a clear reason, pause and ask, what am I really looking for? Is it answers, or is it peace of mind? If you're still watching and this message is resonating, please comment number 6 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I encourage you to do so and turn on the bell icon. Your support helps us keep creating thoughtful content to inform and inspire you. Final thoughts. Life after retirement often feels like a delicate balancing act, one where you're constantly navigating between giving and keeping, between love and healthy boundaries. And when we talk about what we pass on to our children, it's not just about leaving behind money or possessions. It's also about what we choose to protect, our peace of mind, our time, and the wisdom we've worked so hard to earn. Many parents, motivated by love, habit, or a deep sense of responsibility, keep giving long after their children have become fully grown. They give their time, their resources, and sometimes their emotional energy, even when it's quietly draining them. But here's a truth that's often hard to say out loud. Giving too much, too often, and without discernment can sometimes take more than it gives. It's not selfish to hold on to what keeps you well. It's wise. And that wisdom doesn't just serve you, it models resilience, balance, and dignity for your family too. You're not closing your heart. You're choosing when and how to open it so it doesn't empty you in the process. So, which of these 6 places spoke to you most? Which one have you visited out of habit, without realizing what it might be taking from you in return? Take a moment to reflect on what truly supports your well-being in this season of life. You've earned the right to choose spaces that nourish you, not drain you. Wishing you continued strength, joy, and deep peace in the years ahead. Stay healthy, stay true to yourself, and if you haven't already, remember to subscribe to the channel for more thoughtful content. May you be blessed with good health, lasting happiness, and peaceful days. Which of these habits resonated with you the most? Were there any that caught you off guard, ones you hadn't even thought about before? Maybe you've been giving rides, quietly handing out money, or biting your tongue to keep the peace. Or perhaps you've noticed your calendar is full, yet your energy is running on empty. That quiet frustration you've been feeling? It's not selfishness or ingratitude. It's your inner wisdom, your well-earned intuition, gently telling you it's time to reclaim your space. Setting boundaries is not a rejection of love. It's a gift. to yourself and to the people around you. It shows strength, teaches respect, and makes room for you to enjoy your golden years with the peace, clarity, and dignity you've truly earned. Thank you so much for spending your time with us today. We'd love to hear your reflections. Leave a comment below and share one thing that stood out to you and how you'll apply it in your own life. Your insights matter to us more than you know. Reading your comments brings us real motivation and helps us continue creating thoughtful content to support and inspire you. If you found this video helpful, please like, subscribe, and share it with someone who might need it too. Wishing you good health, deep happiness, and lasting peace. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel.